They're an aspiring guitarist. I don't know if you came here knowing that I had put in the community discussion area of my YouTube channel page. It lists the videos and shorts and then community. But I let people know that we were going to have this video today about how to easily remember the musical alphabet, and how to know, for the most part, what chords, if you're playing with other people, are going to be played in most songs. Now, if if somebody came here to pick apart what I said, you can. When I say something, just like many things in life, there's always an exception. There's always more to learn. I'm trying to cover a very basic aspect that I feel will help all, both beginning guitarists, and I don't know, defining an intermediate guitarist is real subjective. Some people define that as I've been playing a long time. Some people define that as, I know a little theory. I can do this type of chord. I can do that. I can do the other. But I know many people, I was one myself for years, that considered myself an intermediate guitarist because I'd been playing a long time. I had my technique down. I could hit chords with no problem. But I didn't know until someone showed me, if my buddy we were playing with, and they always did it, and finally I had to ask the question. I've got a video saying the worst question you can ask in guitar is the one you don't ask. I looked at my buddy, I said, how do you know what chord to play? And he went, let's go sit down. That's the reason I told y'all in the little discussion leading into this that you need a pencil and a piece of paper. Now, you don't have to. There is nothing I tell you have to do. Nothing. Not a thing in the world. There's many songs that will use the old phrase, take what you need and leave the rest. And that's the way I approach this. These are suggestions. These are things I do to help you, I hope, on your guitar journey. So we're going to talk about the musical alphabet. And you've probably already heard, maybe you haven't. The musical alphabet is A to G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It starts over again. Now, in between the A and those letters, you can have sharps and flats on some of the letters because there's intervals. And that's another thing I encourage you to learn. I'm going to have a little brief tip lesson on intervals too, which intervals, sadly, we use so many synonyms. Intervals, semaphores, half step, whole steps, one fret on the guitar neck board. This, from this fret here, the first fret, to the second fret is a half step. From the first set to the third is a whole step. Half, whole. Then you're going to learn down the road when we're talking about, learning these scales. And I keep talking about the C major. I personally believe that's one many should start with, and other people believe differently. But notes become important. Now, with me saying that I don't want to learn no darn notes, okay. But what I'm going to cover is some very basic A to G. That's it, A to G. And A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and how you can apply that and figure out what chords are coming. Because, most of us, we've gone online, someone showed us, we bought books, we've done different things to get chords, and we learned the basic open chord, a cowboy chord, pretty much the same thing. Then one day we finally learn what an open chord is. Why is it called an open chord? Then one day we might learn that, wow, chords come from notes and scales. And very often, when I make a chord, the C chord, if you look right here, I'm making the C chord. All right, now let's get these fingers out of the way. Well, all right, let's raise that. Well, there's a C. Wow. All right, let me move the string so you can see it even better. You see the C? And this is a traveler guitar. It's also a traveler guitar where they combined with fret light. And you've seen my guitars that light up the scales. There's software that allow you to practice scales, chords. That's a whole nother thing. I do encourage, before I get to this, this is what I call a noodling guitar. It serves many purposes. Traveler isn't the only one that makes it. Donner makes one. Several people do. The reason I like the Traveler, the tuning is very distinct. And so you still tune by turning your hands. Now you may go, well, I don't know what's the first. Well, it's not hard. If you look for a minute, you'll figure out the strings and what they come to. So, but you'll learn. It's like anything. You use something a while, it's headless stock. By the way, it did not come with the decals. People ask me, I get these off Amazon. That's what they are. It's a 2-pack. I'll just show you real quick. I know you want to get on. And they peel off. Now the nut doesn't peel off, but starting with the first fret all the way down, I think it's 18 frets, and they peel off. They recommend you do it when you're going to do a string change, and they talk about how to clean the fretboard and things. I've seen people do some videos of doing it with the strings on. You're on your own there. I'm not going to tell you to do that, but people always ask me in these videos where I get these. Do I like them? I love it for teaching. This is going to be something I use with my grandkids tremendously. I've talked about how I use it, how then I make them switch guitars, get rid of it to where, because then they're going to learn, when I talked about intervals, there's also things you're going to learn in scales like how many whole steps then follows the half step, then how many, but that's another lesson. So anyway, notes on the guitar. That piece of paper that I asked you to get and a pen. All right. I'm going to fold this up. I don't do this fancy stuff. Guys, this is, I'm in my home, in my basement guitar studio. There ain't no producers, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great that people have become YouTubers and provide you and other guitarists a way to learn. This is a beautiful thing. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to take a piece of paper, and I want you to write out, and it really does help if you write. It does. I even tell some of my students when they're learning tablature, go buy a tab book, and give me 1 second here. And write out your own tabs, because there's something about, I'll show it to you later. There is something about actually writing out the music yourself that bonds you to the guitar, because you created it before you created it. So enough on that. But anyway, let's go back. Now, an easy way to remember that the scale goes from A to G is just think A guitar, or any guitar, or any acronym using the letter A and G that can remind you that the musical alphabet goes from A to G and then it repeats. There's more to learn. There's sharps and flats, there's intervals, like I said, but that's the first thing you need to know. Write it down. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, you're going to learn later, and that's not part of this lesson, that those notes are on a guitar neck and fretboard. They exist. You've heard me talk about learning the notes on the top, low E string, 6th string, string to the ceiling. And then it's the same thing as the high E string, the 1st string, 1 to the floor, because they're both an E. They're just octaves apart. So let's go back to the musical alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I realize a lot of you, I ain't writing that down. Who's this old fart think he is? But this will help. It really will help. I've had students tell me, I'm so glad you made me do that. So anyway, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then I want you, after you've kind of got that in your brain, that the musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Hold on, I'm folding this because I don't want to reveal everything at once. Then I want to make sure you did it in the paper enough to leave a little space under it. The next thing you want to do is number, starting with A, all the way down to G, and you're going to get to 7. Now, you'll hear people talk about 8 notes on a scale, and that's just because they went from an A to a G and then ended back on A. The root note, again, what's the root note? The one you started with, the one that starts a scale, the one that starts a chord, things of that nature. Now, do this. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a reason for doing that. Then I want you to put in the back of your head, later, you're going to add Roman numerals under the number, but there's a way you're going to add the Roman numerals. Some of them are going to be in caps, some of them are going to be in lowercase. That's advanced. Just know that you're going to hear people refer, you're going to see them write out these numbers, and they're going to do Roman numerals many times. And that's going to have some, that has a ton to do with all these mystery words you hear, like the Ionian scale and the Fijian and this and that we all think is some mystery that we've all got to spend 12 years and a PhD in music to learn, and we don't. And more power to the people that got a music degree. I think they get beat up on. I don't like snobby people with a music degree, but I love these people online who actually have a music degree and share it, make it affordable, that they teach people. Because it's a beautiful thing once you finally learn. So let's get back to this and how you can incorporate this into knowing what chords to play. First of all, let's review. You got to learn this A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You need to know that because that's the chords. Now, chords, there's so many resources out there. Here's some of your basic chords, but you're going to learn the chords that are from A to G, and you're going to learn minor chords. You'll learn an A and A minor. B is kind of that mystery. We're kind of like, ooh, I don't want to mess with B. C, yeah, we're all going to learn the C. We're going to learn the D. We're going to learn the E. The F, we're going to go, oh, no, not the F. But that's okay. You're going to learn these chords, and they're going to be called major chords. They're going to have minors. They're going to have, if you've been exposed, you're going to have sevenths. You're going to have diminished, augmented. All that means something. It's not the mystery you think it is. It really isn't. So I hope you've done this, because now I'm going to move on to the next thing that's going to build off this. So you're going to need to have this written out up at the top of the paper to know which chords to play. Now, there are all kind of wonderful resources that will teach you this. This is a great book, The Chord Wheel. It's also known as The Circle of Fifths. You've heard that. And the Circle of Fifths is not the only thing. What I'm fixing to show you are common chord progressions based on what is known as a 1, 4, 5/7. There's a lot more, but this is a basic one. It'll get you through most songs people play if you know what key they started in. Now, what's a key? A key is simply one of these, A through G again. It's in the key of A, it's in the key of C, it's in the key of D. You'll learn down the road that we sing preferably based on the, I'm a bass. For years, I thought I was a baritone, and I was back in high school. Well, I'm definitely a bass. And there's certain chords and keys that fit my voice, and my range of singing goes through these notes and keys. So that's another thing. So hey, write this out. We're fixing to use it. Okay. There it is. And here's my one I just showed you a second ago. So there's your A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You've got the numbers below it. Now here's what you do. And you don't have to do this you don't have to go run and get a piece of paper. You don't have to be playing with your buddies and it's in the key of C. Well, hang on, let me go get a paper and write this out. I'm going to explain to you how to know it in your head, but let's start with writing it down. Writing things down often helps. Let me move my traveler there. Okay, so a 1, 4, 5 chord progression. Remember when we said to put the numbers down and you're going to go 1 all the way to 7? Well, we did that starting with A. But if somebody tells you it's in the key of C, that's the starting note. That's the key it's in. So remember how we have, this is hard for me to do, y'all bear with me. 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Notice I've got 1, 4, and 5 underlined. That's your 1, 4, 5 chord progression. So if they tell you it's in the key of C, this is the first chord, D is the second, E is the third, D is the fourth, E is the fifth, F is the sixth, G is the seventh. So I'll talk about the seventh in just a second. You notice I've got a question mark there. If someone tells you it's in the key of C, most of the time, I've already covered this isn't going to happen every time, but almost all the time in Western music with pop, rock, folk, indie, all kind of songs. If they tell you it's in the key of C, you're going to get a C, you're going to get an F, and you're going to get a G. Now, there may be variations of that. You may go, well, which comes first? Well, it depends on the song. It depends on how the person that wrote the song structured the song. But you can bet most of the time you're going to get a C, you're going to get an F, you're going to get a G. Now, if I had made this a D, well, instead of if the C had become a D, if I'd written down D and then went E, F, G, same thing, then you're going to, instead of having a C, an F, and a G, you would have a D, an E, and an A. Let that sink in. In other words, you're going to write down on the piece of paper the starting key. Then you're going to follow the alphabet. What comes next after C? Well, it's D, then E, then F, and so on. But if you came down here and you put a D here, what would come next? It would be an E for the second position. Then it would be an F for the third. Then it would be a G for the fourth. What happens when you get to G? You start over with A. A would be the fifth, B would be the sixth, C would be the seventh. So this will, and I'm going to show you how to do it in your head. So what's the seventh about? Well, some people just call it a 1, 4, 5 chord progressions. There's other, I'm not going to get into it now. That's more advanced stuff. Let's not do too much at a time. Often, let's go back to our C. You're going to get a C, you're going to get an F, you're going to get a G, and very often they'll throw a B7 in there. You'll get a seventh chord, and it will be used. Now, the seventh chord is often only added when the note and the singing goes up or down or things like that. Now, you can get into some real advanced theory. So, once again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, go back, do it again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, go back, do it again. That's how the alphabet works. How you do that in your head? Okay, so you're playing with a bunch of people. Use your hands. So I don't care where you start. Start with your pinky, start with your thumb. Just count. But let's use our thumb. Oh, David, it's in the key of C. Okay, man. C. This is my number 1. D. You know I have a duplicature. It's hard to do it. So let's start over. C. D. E. F. G. Well, the 4 and the 5 are going to be your ring finger and your pinky. And then the first is your thumb. So just start with a C. Let's change it. Let's make it a D. D, E, F, G, A. You know in your head, okay, it's going to be, all right, let's say it's in G. G, A, B, C, D. So that would be G, 2, 3, 4, 5. G, A, B, C, D. G, C, and D. Use your hand. Use the knuckles. Use the digits. Envision it in your head. Say it out loud. C, 1. D, 2. E, 3. F, 4. C and F. That's 1 and 4. What's next? You do whatever method. You don't have to run and go do it. Now, they make some, the circle of fifths. This is a device that a lot of people like. It's called Chord Files. You can find it on the net, Amazon, different places. And don't make the mistake I did when I bought it. I tried to move it with the little sliders down here. Well, duh. This is how it works. But it's going to show you, it gives you a starting chord. And once you put the starting chord, it shows you what other chords are going to be in the progression. But you can do this in your head. I'm not knocking this. This is a great device. In fact, I bought another one they have that gets into what they call dark harmony. And that's where it gets into all those other chords and different. We did 1, 4, 5 and a possible 7th. This gets into all kind of stuff and advances your theory. But let's not jump ahead. I try to let you know there's always more to come. I'm 63. I'm still learning, even though I teach. I don't have a PhD in music, but I have some music theory. Many of these places that I send you to is a guitar-worthy site. Well, this is a book, Justin Guitar. I bought it on Amazon. He's going to start out, I'm going to show you, note reading for a guitarist. Let me just give you an example. And you may think, I don't want to go that. But he even goes into here what things are called between America and England. And then he's going to advance. And he's going to tell you about bars. And, you know, he's going to show you the... I even wrote that in myself to show my granddaughter. He's going to talk about finger positioning, octaves, syncopation, fingering, and, you know, it goes on and on. Let me show you another resource. Anthony Parker and his near-life experience. I showed you, I bought this book, Rock Heroes. Well, it's a great book for a beginner, but he's going to go into standard notation and musical notes too. Now, that may look all confusing. It's really not if you just sit down and read what he wrote. He did it very structurally and simple. There's so many more of them. This is an advanced book, music reading, and this gets into for the guitar. And he gets into octave climbing and all kinds. There are so many resources. Your journey can go as far as you want to go. Now, when I was growing up and learning guitar, we didn't have Ultimate Guitar and Guitar Pro and all these apps. We had to go buy songbooks. But if you get, I still, you know, it's kind of like an LP album. There's nothing like the sound of vinyl on a T-Act. I digress. But if you start looking, this is the ultimate Beatles. If you start looking, and the Beatles use a lot of chords. I mean, George Harrison, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, they knew how to voice chords. What does voice a chord. That means using a variation of a chord to get a sound that's different, that's special, that rings out. But if you start looking in a songbook, any songbook, Led Zeppelin, whatever, and you notice the key it starts out in, you're going to notice many times, not always, that this is going to play, it's going to come into play. Those chords are going to be there. They're going to be there. Not always. I have to always put that disclaimer, is there's always somebody and they're going to turn up in the notes. Well, you forgot about, no, I didn't forget. Maybe I did. Maybe you're going to teach me something. There's always more to learn. So what did we learn today? We learned the musical alphabet goes from A to G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Starts over again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We learned there can be sharps and flats, but that's not part of this lesson. We learned that you can write that out and put numbers below them in order, numerical order, and you get 1 through 7. And then you can, instead of having A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you put the starting key. We use C. That's the number 1 position. Next is D, then E, then F, then G. And you put the numbers up under each one and pick out 1, 4, and 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. Sometimes a 7th. Sometimes the 7th is used repeatedly. So, take things in chunks, because I put out a poll this morning, and if I do these polls, I do appreciate y'all participating, because I don't do lessons. I review these people like Justin Guitar and Music is Wind that I just did, which now if you want to get into some music theory, that guy, he's amazing. But a lot of these people have so much to offer you, and you may get it in little chunks, but part of the guitar for a lot of people is, that many people, one of the polls I put out, they weren't sure what they wanted. And that's okay. I just want to play the guitar. I just want to play some songs. I want to play like Jimmy Page. That will change. Maybe it won't. Maybe you know what you want. But it never hurts to have little chunks and pieces. And isn't it nice to be able to play with a bunch of guys and gals, and it's in the key of C. Okay. I know an F and a G's coming. And I'll watch to see when they're going to move to it, but at least I know what they're moving to. And we can have fun playing together. I hope your guitar journey is blessed. And I hope you're having a great weekend. And I hope that you find gratitude for this glorious gift God gave us in music. And remember, happy picking.